Wait, what about weird? Hi, I'm Elena,
And I'm Echo.
and this is our podcast, What About Weird? A podcast discussing all things weird from cryptids and aliens to strange science and unhinged history. This week, I'll be asking the question, what do you know about turtles?
I actually don't know very much about turtles, to be
Do
completely
you have
honest. I don't
do you
know a
have a
lot.
favorite do you have a favorite type of turtle?
Hmm. Do tortoises count? Like
No.
the
Are
big old
tortoises
guys? Or
turtles?
does it I mean, I'm pretty sure yeah, but I didn't know if you wanted to lump them in together for the sake of this episode.
All tortoises are turtles. I'm not lumping it into this episode. We are talking about turtles. I'm just genuinely curious if you have a favorite type of turtle. And tortoises are turtles. I just looked it up.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's okay, the squares and rectangles thing except turtles and tortoises.
Rectangles.
Rectangles. I don't know why I couldn't say that word just now.
We've been
Um,
struggling.
it's been really bad. Yeah, okay. Actually, I forgot to tell you this today. I had to, for work, write the word training down
Oh
like
God.
12 times today. And every fucking time I would spell it Traing. And I would just forget the other I and the N. And I even did it on the fucking schedule. So when you go into work tomorrow, you're literally going to see where I tried to mash an I and another N in before the G, but it just really says training.
You want to know what's funny is you spelled it out, and I'm like, I don't see a problem with that spelling.
I did it every single time I wrote down the word training today. Every time. I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me, but every time I wrote the word training, I had to scratch it out and rewrite it because I just forgot one of the I's and the N's. And every single time I did it, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, what am I doing?
Spelling is hard.
Spelling is hard. I don't know. Anyway, I really, really like tortoises and I really like sea turtles.
Good answers. I like eastern box turtles, and I like alligator snapping turtles, which we're
Those
talking
guys,
about.
those are scary.
They're so cool. And I love
They
them
scare
even more
me.
after researching this episode.
Okay.
Because we are going to be talking a lot about alligator snapping turtles. So, alligator snapping turtles, also sometimes called loggerhead snapping turtles, are the largest freshwater turtle in the United States, second only in the world to the critically endangered Yangtze, I think that's how it's pronounced, Yangtze giant softshell turtle in Asia. The alligator snapping turtle dwells at the bottom of waterways in the Midwest and Southeast and some parts of the Southwest. They're found in most rivers and streams that feed into the Gulf of Mexico. It is part of the same family of turtles as the common snapping turtle. A lot of people commonly mistake the two for each other.
Yeah,
Alligator
what is the
snapping
difference? Like
regular
size?
size and the way that they look. So the common snapping turtle is a lot smoother, a lot smaller, and looks more like how most turtles look. The alligator snapping turtle is it looks like a dinosaur. It literally looks like a dinosaur. And when you look at it, you're like, oh, that does look related to an alligator. It's got these ridges and like bumps on the back of it. Go look up a picture, both you and the listeners, just so you can kind of get a visual on what we're talking about. They got these big old chompy beaks, and they get so much bigger than regular snapping
Oh,
turtles.
yeah.
Yeah, those guys.
God, they're fucking huge. They scare the shit out of me, dude. If I ever saw one of these things, I would just fucking book it out of there. They're so big.
We had one in our when I was a kid, we had one in our driveway at one point, and my dad is just like, I'm not going into work. I'm not gonna try and move that thing. It's like
Yeah, nope.
100 pounds, and it will bite my face off.
So normal snapping turtles are also kind of big, but they're not that big.
No, they're
And
not
they had the
nearly as
smooth
big.
shell. Okay.
I have the size difference written down later here in my notes about them.
Okay, cool, cool. Because
So alligator snapping turtles are primarily aquatic, spending most of their time in the water, obviously. They can stay submerged for 40 to 50 minutes before needing to surface for air, and they're only found in freshwater systems. They don't go out to salt water, and I couldn't find anything about being in brackish water. They tend to prefer deep beds of rivers, so like the mucky bits of the river, and canals. However, juveniles tend to be found in smaller streams and shallower bits. Commercial harvesting in the late 60s and 70s, often for soup companies, including Campbell's. I'm not joking. Campbell's soup is part of the reason why alligator snapping turtles populations have been declining because of, well, no longer because they don't make canned turtle soup anymore. In the 60s and 70s, it was a big thing to harvest alligator snapping turtle for turtle soup, and this hunting of them and people just being afraid of them and killing them, and also more polluted rivers and loss of habitat has really decreased their population, and they're listed as a threatened species right now.
Oh, shit.
However, in Mississippi and Louisiana, you are allowed to harvest them and harvest their meat with some restrictions. It's also illegal to own one in many states except Mississippi and Louisiana. I know they're cute and they're cool and you want one as a pet. Some of you might, but don't do it unless you live in Mississippi or Louisiana.
Also, like, as me saying that I don't want to run into these things. I am scared of them. I am not pro killing them. So the people who are like, kill it because I'm scared of it, that is fucking stupid and bad. Like, I'm scared to all fucking hell of sharks, but I don't want to like fucking murder all sharks because I'm scared of them. Like that's terrible.
Yeah, and also while they can be very aggressive, they're aggressive in a defensive way. There's generally, if they're like if they're chasing you, then they're chasing you off of their territory. They're not gonna like hunt a person and bite them. It's like if you are swimming in the water with them and step on them, they're gonna bite you. If you're like in their territory, pissing them off, they're gonna come after you. But like if you don't grab them where their head can bite you, you're not gonna get bit. Alligator snappers are primarily carnivorous though, so they do hunt. They hunt fish and other aquatic animals like frogs and sometimes smaller turtles. And they've also been known to eat some small mammals and some vegetation. They're mostly active at night and will scavenge or hunt for food at night. And while hunting, they are ambush predators. They tend to stay motionless in the water, and they reveal a worm-like appendage on their tongue that's like it's kind of like a little squiggly thing.
Whoa.
It's really cool. To act as like a worm lure to lure like fish and stuff in, which is really cool.
That's actually pretty dope. Yeah, that's really cool.
It's like a kind of like the anglerfish thing, but like it's in their mouths. And it's like, oh no, there's a little worm here. Gotcha. Ha! But I thought that was really cool. Their bite force can reach up to 1,000 pounds per square inch, which is 10 times that of a pit bull and around the same bite force as a grizzly bear. This bite is strong enough to sever limbs, crush bones, and cause other severe injury. The alligator snapping turtle has been known to reach the age of 70 in captivity. Little is known about what their lifespan is like in the wild, but some scientists believe they could live as long as 200 years or more.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Turtles
I
are
love
so
turtles.
cool.
That's part of what's fascinating because if like I have these friends that own a tortoise and they're literally going to have to like pass her down through fucking generations of people.
I know, that's so cool. And trust me, guys, there's a reason why I'm talking about turtle facts. One, I like turtles, and two, we're getting to it. So how big can they get? Male gator snappers can get around 200 to 250 pounds, depending on the source you look at.
Wow, that's like a large person.
Yeah, no, that is like twice my weight or more. That's like
that's like the size of a 6 foot tall dude.
Yeah, no, that is stupid big. And their carapace or their shell can reach up to 31 inches compared to the smaller common snapping turtle. The smaller common snapping turtle, which usually stays under 2 feet and 100 pounds. I wrote 100 inches. That's not right. And reached around 100 pounds. The largest recorded alligator snapping turtle was in 1999, and it weighed 249 pounds. Unconfirmed reports of alligator snapping turtle caught in Kansas in 1937 was claimed to weigh over 400 pounds. But if you ask the citizens of Churubusco, Indiana, they will say that they can reach the size of a dining room table and weigh over 500 pounds. And that is why we're talking about snapping turtles, because this is the story of the beast of Busco, a giant alligator snapping turtle said to live in Falk Lake in Churubusco, Indiana. The legendary turtle is also sometimes known by the name of Oscar.
I love that.
I know. And if I mispronounce Churubusco, I am so sorry. I wanted to pronounce it Churubusco. I listened to a podcast from the County Historical Society that Churubusco is in, and they called it Churubusco. I want to call it Churubusco. So if I say it wrong, I'm sorry, but it is Churubusco. That is the correct pronunciation. It's
Okay,
weird.
so you're gonna say Churubusco, but it's supposed to be Churubusco.
Yes, I'm going to try and pronounce it right as much as I can, but like,
Okay.
I make no promises. So I had known about this guy before, and you sort of know a little bit about him about this creature from when we were on our road trip, which that episode is going to be released by the time we release this, right?
Yeah.
On our way back, we passed through, just not even planning to, we passed through the town of Churubusco, and it's just like turtle themed everything, and I'm going to talk about it later, but this is what put them on the map. So a little bit about the town of Churubusco. Churubusco is a rural town in northeast Indiana, nestled in the corner of Whitley County, about 15 minutes from Fort Wayne, or as we like to call it, Fort Wayne. So I pulled this Fort Wayne, yes. I pulled this from the Churubusco website. The town was originally divided by a set of railroad tracks, and then it goes into a whole bunch of detail about trains that I'm not going to get into because we've had enough of trains at this point.
Yeah, we got
I love
stopped by
them,
one train, and we sat there for like 5 minutes, and we were like, "Fuck this!" And so we like did a U-turn and
that
peeled
wasn't
out of
even
there.
in Churubusco though. That was in Elkhart.
That was in Indiana, yeah.
That was
well,
in
they're both in
Indiana.
Indiana, but
So many trains. We've got an overdose of trains. I love them,
there's
but
been a lot of
I
trains.
don't need any more. So many. In 1847, America had just won a major battle at Churubusco in the Mexican-American War, and a local resident, Miss Jackson, had a relative in the battle. And as the story goes, at a meeting they said, would be very patriotic if we just named town after that battle, which is a big part of American history. It's like, we had a battle here. Let's name it after this battle.
Yeah.
And in November of that same year, the post office was approved by the federal government, and the town of Churubusco became a thing. As of 2010, the population was 1,796, with a total of 706 households, just to give you an idea of size.
Okay.
So, kind of a little bitty town.
Yeah, pretty dang small.
Yeah, because we passed through and we like drove through it for a total of 5 minutes, and then it was
5
back
minutes.
to cornfields.
Yes, seriously.
It was like cornfields, turtles, cornfields.
Pretty much.
Basically, in 1898, a farmer by the name of Oscar Folk, the namesake of Folk Lake, spotted in a 7-acre lake on his property a massive turtle. Folk swore that it was the size of a small dinosaur. When he ran to tell the others in town, nobody believed him, at least not for the next 50 years. In July of 1948, two men, Ora Blue and Charlie Wilson, were fishing on that same lake, which is now by the name of Folk Lake, when they saw an impossibly giant turtle cross the water's surface. Many believe this was the same turtle that Folk saw over 50 years before. Actually, exactly 50 years before.
Wait, so his name was Oscar too? And so is this why they decided to name the turtle Oscar?
There's a lot of things that are debated about why they named him Oscar. Some say it was someone that saw him was named Oscar, but a lot of sources said it was because of the guy that the lake is named after. They named the lake after his last name, so they named the turtle after his first name.
Oh, okay.
We saw big waves a rolling and a coming up, and then we saw that turtle, reported Blue. I saw a big head sticking up out of the waves, and then it went away just like a submarine. They described the creature as a massive gator snapper the size of a large dining room table, and they guessed the turtle must have weighed around 500 pounds. And this is like I couldn't find what size dining table. I was like, because my dining table is a little 2-person table where they talk. I'm assuming they mean like a big old 40s like farmhouse dining room table.
Yeah, like a 6-seater dining table.
That's what I'm thinking. That seems to make the most sense. Big old round table. But
Yeah.
everything just said the size of a dining room table. So
yeah, it's like, okay, that's helpful.
cool. That could either be the size of a regular snapping turtle or stupidly, obnoxiously big. They ran to tell Gail Harris. Some sources called him Gil, some said Gail. The podcast I listened to, I couldn't tell if they were saying Gail or Gil, so I'm gonna call him Gail. So they ran to tell the owner of the lake, and he was very skeptical. He's like, oh, there's no way that a turtle that big could be in this little lake, and I would have noticed by now. I own this lake. But that was until the following March when him and a friend, Orville Reese, were repairing a roof on Harris's barn, and from the roof they spotted this giant turtle in Folk Lake. Originally they were like, oh, our eyes were just playing tricks on us. It was probably like a sandbar or something, or they just dismissed it and sort of brushed it off as them misseeing something. But that was until the following day when they were continuing work on that roof, the turtle resurfaced, and immediately they hopped off the roof and dashed over to the lake, jumped in a rowboat to row out to see if they could find this turtle. And they're paddling around, and not long after, both men claimed to have seen the turtle on their side of the boat. After a little back and forth, they came to the conclusion that they were seeing different sides of the same giant turtle.
Oh, shit.
On two sides of the same boat.
That's crazy. Could you imagine? I would be, I don't know, just absolutely speechless.
Yeah, like imagine how big, not just how big that thing is, but how big the head is. And I talked earlier about how it could the size of like a regular, or the jaw of a regular alligator snapper is strong enough to break bone. That'd be like a giant ass mouth that could get your whole leg in it, I would be like, we're getting out.
Literally eat you, eat your entire fucking bottom half.
Yeah, just chomp, gone. There goes Mr. Harris. So 8 months later, it was national news. The name Beast of Busco was coined by Cliff Millinor.
That's an interesting last name.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to say Miller at first. Millinor, a columnist for the Fort Wayne Journal Gazette newspaper, and the name was first used in a 1949 edition. Yet others called the great turtle Oscar. Like I said, after the first guy, probably. We don't know. One resident said it must have been a slow year because it went viral. And that was before the word viral was even used. At this point, droves of people started pouring into this tiny, tiny little town to see if they could see the fabled beast. And at this point, Harris swore he'd risk it all to capture the beast. I don't have this in my notes here, but the podcast episode I was listening to, I'll try and remember to link it. It's just like a quick 20-minute thing, but it's an interview with someone who's spent his entire life studying this case and who grew up in Churubusco. They were saying that people were just coming in to people in the area's houses. Mrs. Harris was getting really pissed off because people were just coming in without even knocking, just walking into their house, eating food out of their fridge, chilling in their house and stuff. Other farmers in the area, they were trampling fields.
What the fuck?
And it was getting so bad because they were having their crops destroyed that a lot of people started trying to make up the lost money by selling hot dogs and selling like Coke and stuff just to try and make up for all the stuff all the fields that had been trampled. And it was this whole thing.
Wild. I'm all for okay, let's bring some business to this small town. But what is wrong with people? How disrespectful can you get? I can hardly use the restroom in other people's homes, let alone just invite myself in and fucking eat food from someone's fridge.
Yeah, I hate, I have to be invited into someone's house like a vampire every single time I go there, even if it's
exactly.
My parents' house. And they're like, you have a key to our house. You can just let yourself in. I'm like, no, you have to invite me in. Vampire rules. The audacity of people just to be like, oh, you live by this lake with a big old turtle and I'm going to come in here and eat your lunch meat. And they were getting really, really pissed off about this. Some people were coming just for a spectacle. Some people were coming to see if it was real. And some people were just coming, like I said, for something to do. And some people were calling Harris a liar, and the other three men that had seen this. And that's kind of what triggered Harris to say that he's like, I'll risk it all to prove that I saw this thing. The town wasn't prepared for all of these monster posses coming into town and so the Churubusco Community Club went as far as creating a special turtle committee whose job it was to oversee like the people and make sure they were doing stuff right, like trampling people's lands and make sure that people were being safe when it came to being around the lake and nobody was getting hurt or anything. And so they decided to keep people from getting hurt and having people flood this lake, they would reach out to a seasoned diver, a professional diver, and in an effort to obtain one, they reached out to a diver out of Fort Wayne named Woodrow Rigsby, which is just the most fantastic monster hunter name.
Woodrow Wigsby?
Rigsby.
Rigsby.
Yes. Sorry, the W and the R are combined, and I turned into Elmer Fudd. Woodrow Rigsby. Perfect monster hunter name.
Awesome.
Unfortunately, he didn't get to do much monster hunting because he dove down, almost immediately bobbed back up because his helmet had sprung a leak. Yeah, and had to go repair his equipment and stuff. So 3 days later, a different diver by the name of Walter Johnson had better luck and was diving around in the lake for about 2.5 hours. He eventually came up empty-handed, but both him and Rigsby had focused their efforts on the waterline instead of the like main part of the lake. So a lot of people claim that that's why they failed, is that they were just looking at the edges and not in the main part of the lake.
Okay.
So while all this is going on for months and months, Harris and his buddies were creating trap after trap and net after net to try and catch this turtle. None of them seemed to be any match for Oscar, and some of them were coming at breaking, some of them just nothing had happened. Harris said that he said, "I hate being called a liar." He never tried to profit, but over time, people more or less believed him for it because he never tried to profit. He was just on a mission to prove that it was real. He wasn't one of the people charging people to come through and stuff and like selling hot dogs. He was just like, "There's a turtle in my lake, a giant ass turtle. Stop calling me a liar. I'm gonna catch this motherfucker." That spring, the men spent many sleepless nights trolling the dark waters and shining lights into the water, which is a way I have heard people hunt for snappers, is you shine it in, and something about that like draws them to it, and also it gives you a better look into the water.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that they're drawn to that? Because they think it's like the sunlight or something?
I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't look that up because originally I was thinking it'd look like the light underbelly of an animal swimming above them, but then I was like, no, it wouldn't be glowing.
Right.
So I don't know.
I'm just curious that they're attracted to that.
Maybe they can see their prey better. I don't know.
Huh.
But so they're going around with lights and stuff. They aren't having any luck. And at one point, they enlisted professional turtle trappers out of Tennessee. And even the professionals were equally as unsuccessful. Hang on, I need some water.
Like, at this point, they're just kind of like skimming the top of the water, the edges, trying to attract him by doing certain things. But they're not doing like full sweeps of the lake to actually see if he's in there. Not only that, but like, I don't know, he could get out and go somewhere else. So it's not like he is staying there per se.
He could get out and go somewhere else. The divers were only looking around the edge of the water, but Harris and his buddies are going through the deep parts of the water, sort of trolling it with like trolling net. They're putting traps in it. Harris was saying like, "I'll go in. I don't have any diving experience, but I'll go in and dive myself to look for it." Another approach that they tried was releasing a 200-pound female sea turtle into the lake, which...
That's terrible. That's a bad idea.
I don't know why they're like, we're going to release a female sea turtle and not a female snapping turtle. But so they did this.
Won't the sea turtle die anyway? Like, don't they need to live in salt water?
I would think so, but it wasn't in there for very long. And they ended up taking it out after... one of the women in the town was like, "Well, maybe Oscar is actually Oscarette. Maybe you didn't think about that."
Oh. So now they're going to try male sea turtle.
No. I think they just had the one sea turtle. They're like, we're in a landlocked state. There's no sea turtles in Lake Michigan. Where did they get the sea
turtle from? Like, where did they get this?
There's no sea turtles in Lake Michigan, to my knowledge. And other than that,
they're
stole
landlocked. Her from the aquarium.
Yeah, it's like, is the Potawatomi Zoo missing a sea turtle? Like,
no.
But they only had the one turtle. I guess it'd take like months and months to get another one shipped from like, I don't know, where's the nearest sea turtles to Are there
Florida?
sea turtles in
don't
Florida, I
know.
guess? Because they don't have sea turtles like in New England, do they? I don't know. I've never been to New England.
I always thought it was like too cold up
That's what
there.
I thought. So I guess, yeah, and that would take a long time to ship
Cause like,
a live turtle from
yeah,
Florida.
maybe on like the coast off of Virginia would be closest for them, but that's still
Yeah.
fucking far to have a turtle shipped to you.
A live turtle nonetheless. So they only had
Yeah.
the one turtle. Where they got it, fuck only knows. But that didn't work. By midday, they'd pulled that turtle out. They started dragging the river with hooks instead of just nets, baited hooks. Online. So it's like a whole line and then down spaced out throughout it is hooks, like lines with hooks going down. So think like a comb, but the end of the comb teeth is hooks.
Like
If you-
sharp hooks?
I'm assuming like fishing hooks. The Whitley County Historical Society does have some of these traps on display. If you go to their museum, and they have some pictures of them online. They didn't have pictures of this, but this is what I'm assuming from hook lines, from what I've seen from other hook lines, but it's just like a whole line of just like hooks that go down off of one main line that sits on the top of the water, and they're dragging this through the lake.
Are they obviously like, so a fish hook probably isn't going to hurt like a 500-pound turtle, but are they worried about like injuring the turtle at all in this? Or are they like, we're going to like kill us a big turtle? Like, what's the mentality here?
It seemed at first it was like, we just want to prove that this turtle exists, and now it sort of turns into a we're gonna catch this turtle at any cost. It really becomes Harris's like white whale, and he gets like really obsessed with it and is doing everything to try and catch it. And his buddies are trying to help him. A lot of people in the town are trying to help him, like full on monster posse. We're gonna get this thing, whatever it takes, type deal.
That's crazy. Okay.
I'm assuming the hooks they were using were maybe the same ones you use for shark fishing, so they'd be really big and sturdy.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm like, if it's a normal fishing hook, there's no way that thing is lasting.
Or like what you'd use for like sturgeon fishing or something. I don't know. I don't generally go fishing for anything bigger than catfish, so medium catfish. So I don't know, but that's what I would assume, because I know there are like hook lines for shark fishing, so they probably just got one of those and dragged the lake with.
Yeah,
That would be my assumption.
I would think so.
So they're really starting to run out of ideas here. Harris is at his wit's end. He's sleep deprived from spending night after night looking for this turtle, because they are more active at night, so he's going out at night more. And he is just crazed with turtle fever, totally sick of being called a liar. He decides to sort of throw caution to the wind, Hail Mary, and just fully drain the lake.
What?
So
Why do I feel like they're trying to like prove this turtle's existence? But why does this feel like bad idea after bad idea after bad idea?
because it's the 40s, and because people were like, there's a war going on, let's try and find this turtle because I'm sick of hearing about Nazis. I don't know.
Oh my god, okay.
So from September through November of that year, he took a tractor and just pulled out countless gallons of water and drained it into a nearby ditch, eventually reducing the 10-acre lake to about 60 or so feet of mud and sludge.
Wow.
And they just didn't find anything. Like you said, turtles can go on land, and it could have gone over to somewhere else.
Right.
Because there is a bigger lake a little ways away, and I don't know if this was the case in the 40s, but now there is sort of like a little like man-made river drainage thing that runs in and out of Folk Lake. So it could have gone along that, could have gone into one of the smaller lakes in the area. Who knows? Or maybe it was because the majority of the sightings happened in the early days, so maybe people were seeing it while it was hanging out there, and then before this whole hunt really kicked off, he went over to one of the bigger lakes. But throughout this hunt and throughout people coming from other places, they started like some people were like, oh, I saw the beast of Busco. I saw the beast of Busco. No, I saw him. He really is as big as a dining room table. And none of these were really verified. Probably just people trying to get in the action. Maybe some people seeing him, who knows. But around this time, after draining the lake, Harris came down with appendicitis. I'd read some sources that said he was injured, but a lot of the sources and the ones that were from Churubusco and like that area were like, no, he had appendicitis. So he got appendicitis and had to go to the hospital. And when he was laying in that hospital, he would say later on in an interview in the 70s, he said, I was laid up there on the verge of death. I made up my mind if I got out of this, and when I got out of this whole thing was gonna stop. It was just craziness. Just because his search ended doesn't mean everyone else's searches. Yeah. But it really did sort of start petering out around then, because it had been months of this. With no luck, he drained the swamp. He drained the lake. When nothing came up, a lot of people were like, oh, they're just making it up. Oh, well, let's go home, guys. But there's still plenty of people that go and look for it.
So have there been any like more recent sightings, or like that was it? Like it was like a hype for a little bit in the 40s and then that was all?
I couldn't really find anything, but that doesn't mean that there isn't anything.
It's just crazy to me to build like your whole town off of this beast of Busco, and you have like Oscar stuff everywhere, and it's known as like Turtletown, USA. And like this is all that you have to like substantiate this is a couple people in the 40s saying that they saw this giant turtle.
Well, this is kind of what people had never heard about Churubusco until then, and this is like the only thing people know Churubusco for. So like that's kind of their thing. There's a whole bunch of other stuff on their website about like, we're not just turtles, we also have a high school and cornfields.
Lots of corn.
But like everyone knows it for this. The interview that I had heard from the guy that was really deep into researching this, he was saying that when he went off to college, he was talking with some of his friends, even people from outside of Indiana, and they're talking about their hometowns. He mentioned he was from Churubusco, and someone was like, oh, Turtletown. You're from Turtletown, right? And they knew the story, and that's like a lot of people, like that's just how people know it. That is their association with it.
I mean, it's a cool thing to be known for.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to live in a place that was known for being like Turtletown, USA.
Yeah. We just have the, Duke Department of Psychical Research that nobody remembers.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I literally just read a book that referenced that the other day, like a fiction book. It was actually a really good book. I might talk about it a little bit in my episode because it was fungi related, but it was a fucking good book. Highly recommend. I will talk about it when we record mine.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I want to do a whole episode on that, but we got some cool shit like, in the triangle.
A lot of people reference that, like not just like supernatural or like, I don't know, mind control or psychic texts or whatever, or like supposedly like nonfiction stuff, but even like I'm pretty sure like they fucking mention it in the X-Files in an episode.
Yeah, there's an episode of the X-Files set in Durham, and I think it's like a Raleigh or something. They like bring that up, they mention it, which the Department of Psychical Research I think closed down in like the 60s, I want to say, but I'm not sure. And now it's like the Catholic Center, like the building that used to be the Psychical Research Center is now the Catholic Center, which I find hilarious.
It's so funny to me. Oh, yeah.
But it was definitely closed down by the time my mom went there in the 80s, so.
Well, I guess back on this beast, do you think Oscar was real?
I'm going to get to the theories. I have a little bit more stuff of wrapping up this and talking about Turtletown, and then we can get into our stuff. Because I want to finish my notes before we get distracted and ADHD out. So, like you had said, Churubusco is now known as Turtletown, USA. It was called Turtletown by the governor of Indiana at the time, and now the moniker is stuck, and it is officially in Indiana, like government books, listed as Turtletown as like its official nickname. And this has been since 1950. Ever since then, it's held its annual Turtle Days Festival, a multi-day festival with everything from barbershop quartets and pie eating contests to cartoonish mascots of Oscar running around and even a beauty pageant. They have a fish fry, a parade, and people even bring their pet turtles to, and I quote, hang out together for turtle reasons and to do turtle stuff, which I think is adorable.
That's so cute.
Like I kept saying, the Whitley County Historical Museum has some of the original artifacts. They have a lot of good information about this. You can straight up just like call them and ask questions about this. And I went to their website, and that's how I found this podcast episode. I got a fair bit of my information from. It's just listed. I'll link it. But they have a whole bunch of the, like, including some of the original dive gear and the, and some pictures and stuff from when Harris was looking for it. These days, little Oscar figurines and paintings of Oscar are everywhere, including on the welcome sign of the town, which we saw window fronts and statues by the park, by Falk Park. It is just everywhere. I'm sure you can speak to it, but it was like, I think they had them on like cop cars. They had it on like chocolate shop signs. Like the entrance had a big old cartoony turtle statue. So it was just everywhere. In some way, shape, or form, things are like turtle themed.
Awesome.
I also want to briefly mention, while doing this research independently, just at the same time, I saw something about Chonk the snapper in the Chicago River. Not an alligator snapper, but a giant snapping turtle, which is, no one's actually like caught him and measured him to my research. I didn't dig too deeply into him, but he did seem like a really bigger than most average common snapping turtles.
This is something that's like another cryptid, or like a snapping turtle that's like proven to be real?
This is proven to be real. Like people take pictures of it and stuff.
Oh, shit.
And so the fact that it is possible for in this area, even though that's in Chicago and not Churubusco, they're still fairly close. So there is something to support the idea that the sort of that area could support a very large turtle. Though obviously Chonk the snapper is nowhere near as big as Oscar was, because he's still within the bounds of real size. So as of 2023, the alligator snappers were listed as a threatened species by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the IUCN, due to the loss of habitat and hunting, like I mentioned earlier. So who knows, maybe if we take care of our environment and our local ecosystems, we can also help keep a cryptid or two safe. So I just want to get a little bit of a, you know me, I love getting a little bit of an environmental PSA out there. So what are our theories? Chit chat about that. I got my notes out of the way.
So there's no way it could have been like I don't know, what else is there that's the size of an alligator snapping turtle that looks like an alligator snapping turtle?
Yeah, because the soft shell turtle that I'd mentioned earlier does not look at all like a snapping turtle. That's the only other freshwater turtle that's bigger. There's some people are like, oh, people are just, the stories have gotten over exaggerated the size of it, because there were reports in the 30s about a 400-pound snapping turtle on record. Well, after this, the largest snapping turtle on record was about 250 pounds. So a lot of people think that it was just the tails getting exaggerated over time and stuff.
I mean, here's the thing though, like as someone that's not good with like sizing and weights, I'm looking at like the pictures that they have of like basically the world record for the biggest snapping turtle, which was actually part of the Shed Aquarium in Chicago, which is crazy. But this thing is quite literally as big as like a human male. And so if I saw that thing, I would probably think that it was like 400 pounds. So I could like see where that weight and where that size is coming from. And especially because you have to think about how
water
things
distortion.
Look, yeah, how things look in the water. You know, like it probably looked a lot bigger than it actually was. But I do believe that there was probably like a big ass snapping turtle in that lake. And he probably just meandered off somewhere else and they never saw him again.
Yeah, and they probably never saw him meandering. I like this just because it's like, I love cryptids that are more sort of in the realm of reality. Like, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I love my super spooky, extra paranormal, like high strangeness, wiggly, weird guys. But there's something about this that like, it's just really cool. And it's like, what if there is just a turtle that gets twice as big as we think they can get? Like, what if, you know?
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. There's a lot of species that have like giants and dwarfs. So
yeah. And,
you know, you can have like a dwarf mouse, or you can have like a fucking giant hamster or something. Anything's possible.
There's some theories out there that it's like a relic of a older species of alligator snapping turtles, and it was like a sort of relic dinosaur leftover, sort of megafauna type thing. And I understand, because alligator snappers just look so ancient and prehistoric. It's like when you look at an alligator gar, you look at it and you're like, oh, that thing has been around for longer than humanity. Okay, cool. Like that thing knows some secrets, and it probably has not changed how it's evolved in, you know, millions of years. So I can understand being like, it's maybe a leftover dinosaur, but like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. And it's fun. It's fun, you know?
Well, also also, since they can live for so long, I mean, gosh, that was like, we're talking about like in the 1800s, if not like the 1700s when this thing existed. Like, of course, we didn't fucking see it for a while. We
Yeah,
weren't paying
and
attention to giant turtles in that time.
I'm not sure if Falk Lake was man-made or is like a naturally forming lake. I didn't look up into that stuff. Some scientists believe to get to be that size, he would have had to be 500 years old. And given that we don't know anything about how long they live, but a lot of turtle scientists are like, they probably live about 200 years because that's how long a lot of old, like bigger turtles live.
Right.
But like some people like maybe he's just really fucking old and eating other snapping turtles for breakfast, you know?
I mean,
Or
here's my
maybe
thing.
he's
We
an
don't know.
interdimensional turtle, and that's why you don't see him because they saw him once and he slipped into another dimension.
An alien
or
turtle. They
something.
deposited him from outer space. He
I mean,
collected his samples and he left.
A sample of someone's leg he bit off. But yeah, that is all I have for the Beast of Busco, unless you have anything else to add.
I don't think so. I do think it's really cool that whether or not Oscar was real, I think it's really neat when a small town can be known for something and can like gather people for like yearly celebrations and stuff because they saw a really big fucking turtle that one time.
Yeah, and it's really helped keep the town alive outside of just like little farming and stuff.
Yeah, I love that for them.
Because a lot of smaller towns slowly like dissolve over time as more people move into town and stuff. And like the town that I'm from, I wasn't aware of this because I haven't kept up with stuff from that town too much. But like the post office recently closed, so now it's not a town, it's an unincorporated township. So like, you know, stuff like that. But if you can keep getting business, keep having people living there, you can stay a town. You can keep people in the area, you know? But I think it's fun and it helps with local economy and it helps keep people interested in wildlife. And like I said, if you take care of the environment, maybe we can have more giant turtles.
I'm pro giant turtles as long as they're away in the lake and not eating me.
Yeah, as long as they have their big old chompies not facing me.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. If you liked it, please rate the podcast and share it with the weird people in your life. Follow us on Instagram at whataboutweird.pod, where we often share pictures related to the episode. We are also on Blue Sky at whataboutweirdpod. If you have any topic suggestions or personal weird stories, please DM us or email us at whataboutweirdpod@gmail.com.
And always remember
To ask about the weird. Bye for now.
Thank you for
Oh,
500
no.
streams. Yay.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot to mention that. Thank you. You guys
yeah.
are awesome. Okay, bye.
Bye.